Imagine this. You wake up tomorrow and suddenly realize that years, perhaps even decades, of your life have quietly slipped away without any real transformation. In the stillness of the morning, your mind drifts to the dreams you once held so close, the goals you meticulously planned out, the aspirations that once lit a fire in your soul. But as you reflect, you see a jarring truth. Those dreams remain just that, dreams. Your goals, long forgotten or worse yet, left to gather dust in the corners of your mind. The life you once envisioned with such hope and energy now feels like a distant mirage, something perpetually out of reach, overshadowed by the day-to-day routine that consumes your existence. Now you find yourself in a loop, as if on an endless carousel. Every sunrise offers another chance, another day to make a change, another opportunity to leap forward into something new and purposeful. But that leap never seems to happen. Instead, you wait. You wait for the right moment, the perfect set of circumstances that promise safety and certainty. Yet deep down, part of you knows that moment will never come. Another day passes, then another and another, until you wake up and realize entire chapters of your life have flipped by without you ever truly taking control. Have you ever wondered why this happens? Why do certain individuals take daring steps toward a brighter future, while others remain motionless, as if their potential has been locked away by an invisible chain? Why do some leap into the unknown and transform their lives overnight, while others bury their passions under the relentless weight of doubt? Today, we're going to reveal a hidden force that may be secretly undermining your potential, your happiness, and your success, without you even sensing its presence. This silent saboteur can steal the best years of your life while whispering that everything is fine, that you should just keep waiting or keep overthinking. This invisible adversary is called passivity. At first glance, passivity might not look threatening. You might even mistake it for being cautious or patient. Maybe you tell yourself you're just weighing your options carefully, waiting for the perfect timing, ensuring all details are in place. But in truth, passivity can be more insidious than outright laziness. It masquerades behind the guise of just being careful, or needing more information, or not rushing things. Meanwhile, your deepest aspirations, your truest desires, remain locked away, never seeing the light of day. The real danger? Most people never break free from passivity. They stay stuck, watching opportunities drift by like leaves on a river, never daring to grab hold. Their greatest ambitions remain unfulfilled, their potential untapped. It's like living your entire life with the brakes on, never feeling the thrill of genuine progress. But that doesn't have to be you. By the end of this extended deep dive, you'll not only understand exactly how passivity has been controlling your destiny, but you'll discover the single most powerful strategy to overcome it. And trust me, that final insight can change everything if you're open to it. It can put you on a path of unstoppable momentum, guiding you toward a future you once thought was merely a far-off fantasy. So let's delve deeper. Let's peel back the layers of what makes passivity so alluring yet so destructive, and see how it seeps into every corner of our lives. For decades, psychologists have investigated why some people sit idly by, watching opportunities slip through their fingers, while others seize the moment. One of the seminal theories describing this phenomenon is learned helplessness, first introduced by Martin Seligman. Through experiments that exposed subjects, animals and humans alike, to repeated, uncontrollable adversity, Seligman found that they eventually stopped trying to escape or improve their situation at all. Even when escape became possible, they simply didn't bother. Why? Because they had been conditioned to believe their efforts would lead nowhere, that the outcome would be the same no matter what they tried. Now let's be clear. Failure can contribute heavily to learned helplessness, but it's by no means the only culprit. There's something else, often overlooked, that acts as a silent predator on your ambitions. That force is comfort. Our ancestral roots taught us to seek safety and stability in order to survive. In prehistoric times, if you found a cave providing shelter from the storms and predators, you didn't just wander off for the thrill of it. Staying in that cave was the difference between living and perishing. But in the modern world, our survival no longer depends on avoiding saber-toothed tigers or raging storms in the wilderness. Instead, our challenges are more abstract: building fulfilling careers, nurturing loving relationships, discovering our purpose, and realizing our potential. Yet, our brain's old wiring still clings to the notion that comfort equals safety. So we cling to familiarity, even if that familiarity drains our spirit. Have you ever noticed how days so easily turn into weeks, which turn into months and then blur into years? And through it all, your big dreams remain stuck on the horizon, always later or someday, never now. Comfort has a way of quietly lulling us into a gentle complacency. It says, "You're okay right now. Why risk messing things up? Why rock the boat? Why jump when you don't know exactly where you'll land?" That's the voice of passivity, gently whispering that tomorrow will be a better day to try, that next week you'll be more prepared, that next year conditions will be perfect. But all too often, that perfect time never materializes. Here's the brutal truth. There is no perfect time. Life is happening this very second. Every moment you delay, every step you postpone, the mountain of regret grows a fraction taller. Over and over again, I've encountered people realizing, at some point, that they've spent their entire adult lives meaning to begin, but never did. They thought they'd have more time, more willpower, more clarity, only to discover that passivity swallowed those years, leaving a void where passion, action, and growth could have flourished. The psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, Viktor Frankl, uncovered a powerful insight. The principal driving force within human beings isn't pleasure or power, but meaning. Many psychologists before Frankl suggested that we're primarily seeking pleasure, Sigmund Freud, or primarily seeking power, Friedrich Nietzsche, but Frankl argued that what truly keeps us alive, what gives us the strength to persist even through unfathomable hardship, is a sense of meaning. And nothing erodes meaning faster than passively drifting through life, never fully engaging, never accepting the challenges that lead to deeper fulfillment. Think back to a moment when you felt truly, undeniably alive. Was it a time you were on the sidelines, observing from a place of safety and comfort? Probably not. Odds are you were fully immersed in the experience. Maybe you took a bold leap of faith, ventured into unfamiliar territory, or poured every ounce of energy into something you cared about. In that instant, fear may have been present, but it was overshadowed by an exhilarating sense of purpose. Yet, despite these truths, passivity still clutches many of us. Why? Part of it is the comfort trap, the idea that, if I stay where I am, at least I know what to expect. Our brains interpret risk as danger. We become caught in mental loops of what-if scenarios, imagining the worst outcomes. What if I fail publicly? What if I invest time or money and it doesn't pay off? What if I'm not good enough? The mind, fixated on these potential disasters, concludes it's safer to do nothing. That stance, ironically, is the more perilous one in the long run, because it leads to a life marked by regret and unfulfilled potential. No one ever achieved greatness while sleeping in the comfort zone. Every remarkable human triumph, from the invention of the light bulb to the creation of groundbreaking businesses, to the forging of revolutionary social movements, began with individuals pushing well beyond the boundaries of comfort. They stepped into the unknown, uncertain but determined to keep going. The difference between those who remain passive and those who move mountains is not brilliance or luck. It's action. Consistent, fearless action. Even if you have no idea what the outcome will be, you move. Even if you're trembling inside, you move. Because that movement is what transforms fear into momentum. One of the most direct strategies to combat passivity is Mel Robbins' 5-second rule. It's a simple but shockingly effective tool. Whenever you sense yourself hesitating, maybe it's asking a question in a meeting, starting that new workout regimen, making a crucial phone call, count down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, then immediately launch into the action, giving your brain no chance to argue, negotiate, or give in to fear. This is how you short-circuit the mental loop that leads you to overthink and, inevitably, do nothing. However, taking action in sporadic bursts is not enough if you want lasting change. You need something else, something more sustainable, discipline. Motivation is great, but it's like a spark. It might light the fire for a moment, but it quickly fades unless it's fed. Discipline is the steady fuel that keeps your resolve burning day after day, even when the excitement or novelty is worn off. James Clear, in his influential book Atomic Habits, points out that success often comes down to the tiny actions we perform consistently. Improving just 1% each day might sound minuscule, but those small steps add up to monumental change over time. Meanwhile, if we repeatedly yield to our comfort zone in tiny ways, that negative momentum accumulates as well, breeding more indecision, more stagnation, and deeper regrets. Yet here's an aspect many overlook. Passivity doesn't solely arise from fear of failure or from the lure of comfort. It also sprouts from something known as identity paralysis. This is when you see yourself in a fixed, unchanging light. I've always been shy. I'm just not a risk taker, I can't handle leadership roles, or I'm never going to master this skill. When you buy into these narratives, you effectively lock yourself in a mental prison. Even the possibility of growth or transformation is shut out because you believe your identity is set in stone. Stop identifying with your limits. Start identifying with your potential. Psychologist Carol Dweck introduced the idea of a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. Those with a fixed mindset view their abilities as static, so they tend to avoid challenges, fearing that failure will expose them as frauds or incompetent. Meanwhile, individuals with a growth mindset believe that skills, talents, and intelligence can be developed. They embrace challenges as opportunities to learn, even if it means stumbling along the way. This perspective is the antidote to passivity because it allows you to see every step, even the missteps, as progress. Yet, even with a growth mindset, many people stumble when confronted with emotional barriers. The concept of emotional resistance is crucial here. It's the internal friction you feel when stepping out of your comfort zone, like a tightness in the chest or a knot in the stomach. Neuroscience has revealed that our brains often react to psychological threats, criticism, social judgment, fear of the unknown, similarly to how they react to physical threats. Adrenaline surges, the fight or flight response kicks in, and you're tempted to retreat to perceived safety. But you do not have to purge all fear or anxiety to move forward. You simply act anyway. Each time you face that discomfort head-on and push through, your brain begins to rewire. It learns that stepping into the unfamiliar does not equate to immediate doom. This is the birth of psychological flexibility, the capacity to keep moving even amid uncertainty. Now, let's talk about the single most potent game changer in this entire battle against passivity: radical responsibility. Radical responsibility means understanding at a fundamental level that your life is ultimately yours to shape. It means recognizing that you cannot spend your existence waiting for someone else to fix your problems or open the door of opportunity for you. Sure, you can get help along the way, mentors, friends, teachers, coaches, but at the core, you're the only one who can make the final decision to take action or do nothing. This can be uncomfortable because it strips away excuses. It removes the safety net of, "It's not my fault. I'm too old, too young," or "I'm just waiting for better circumstances." When you accept radical responsibility, those crutches vanish. Yes, the world might be unfair at times. Yes, luck plays a role. And yes, not everyone starts at the same place. But none of these realities remove your ability to make choices. And your choices form the tapestry of your future. Entrepreneur Jeff Bezos famously said that if you wait until you're 100% sure about a decision, you're already late. This statement is a clarion call for action. The world moves quickly. Opportunities rarely linger for those perpetually hovering in indecision. Often you only need 70% confidence or even 60%. From there you leap and learn through doing. Action creates clarity. That's the principle. You can't think your way into absolute certainty because certain things are only revealed once you're in motion. As you make decisions and move forward, you'll gather real-world feedback. Some of that feedback might be negative, failures or setbacks. But here's the secret. Failure is not your enemy. Stagnation is. Failure is priceless feedback. It shows you what doesn't work, which is invaluable data you can use to pivot and refine your approach. People like Thomas Edison, who tested thousands of filaments before finally creating the workable electric light bulb, understood that every so-called failure was simply a lesson on how not to make a light bulb. That's an essential reframe for anyone aspiring to break free from passivity. Each misfire can be a stepping stone, not a tombstone. So how specifically do you put all this into practice? First, abandon the myth that you need to wait for motivation or confidence to spontaneously appear. These states often bloom after you initiate action, not before. If you keep waiting to feel ready, you'll be in for a long wait that may never end. Second, redefine how you see yourself. Consciously shift the narrative from, "I'm a procrastinator," or "I'm naturally passive," to "I am a person who takes action." Start with small, manageable tasks, like immediately responding to an important email or going for a short walk around the block if you've been neglecting exercise. Each tiny win becomes evidence that you're indeed a doer. Third, shrink the big scary goals into bite-sized tasks. When a goal feels massive, it's easy to freeze up. But if you write a book into write 300 words today, that's a small step you can conquer. If you start a business into research business name ideas for 30 minutes, you create immediate momentum. Overcoming passivity doesn't require you to leap tall buildings in a single bound. It requires consistent steps that aggregate into transformative change. Fourth, commit to making faster decisions. Overthinking might feel like you're being thorough, but more often, it's a mask for procrastination. Try implementing a 5-minute rule for decisions that won't drastically upend your life. Give yourself 5 minutes to gather relevant information, and then decide. If it's a more critical life choice, maybe extend that to a day or a week, but set a firm deadline and stick to it. And remember, life rewards action. Opportunities are fleeting. Time never stops. The present moment is literally the only moment you have any power over. Every choice you make right now influences the path you walk tomorrow. Some people realize this early, taking bold steps while they're still young. Others realize it later but still pivot to transform their destiny. The tragedy is for those who never realize it at all, who remain in the cocoon of passivity until life's final chapter quietly arrives, filled with unanswered what-ifs. So, will you remain in the passenger seat, letting the days and weeks roll by, or will you firmly grip the wheel and steer your life in the direction you choose? The difference between these two mindsets is everything. One path leads to a life shaped by external circumstances, excuses, and regrets. The other path is carved by your deliberate choices, courage, and determination. The second path is not easy. It demands you face fear, abandon complacency, and accept responsibility. But it is the only path that gives you a sense of purpose and the deep fulfillment that comes from living life on your own terms. When you look back on your life, whether it's next year, 10 years from now, or at the close of your journey, how do you want to feel about the choices you made? Will you feel pride in having confronted your own limitations? Or will you be weighed down by regret for the risks you didn't take and the dreams you never pursued? Passivity or action, that's the defining crossroads. One direction points to a slow decline of potential, a gradual dimming of the spark within you. The other is a call to adventure, an invitation to become the protagonist of your own story, forging ahead even when the path is unclear, driven by a belief that progress is possible and meaning is waiting to be discovered on the other side of effort. So the ultimate question remains, when will you act? The power is in your hands right now, not next week, not next year, today. By choosing to do even the smallest productive thing, you're shattering the chains of passivity. You're stepping into a world where your decisions, big or small, matter, because each one carries the weight of your destiny. In the words of author James Clear, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Each choice, no matter how tiny, is writing a line in the script of your life. Write it with intention, with purpose, and with the knowledge that you are not a helpless observer, but an active creator of your destiny. You hold the pen. You write the next lines. Don't hand over that power to fear or doubt or the false security of comfort. Step up and claim it. Because at the end of the day, the regrets that sting the most aren't from the things we tried and stumbled over. They're from the things we never tried at all. Now, at last, let me remind you, only you can break free from passivity. By embracing radical responsibility, by committing to consistent action, by forging a new identity that sees challenges as stepping stones, and by making decisions promptly instead of dwelling in hesitation, you can experience a profound transformation. Life rewards action. Will you keep waiting, or will you finally break the cycle? The choice is yours, and this single choice may define every chapter that follows. Seize this moment, take that first step, and realize you have the power to craft a life that resonates with your deepest values and aspirations. It's time. Act now. This is your story. Make it one worth telling. But before we conclude, let's take one more moment to reflect deeply on the pathway out of passivity. Recognize that nothing changes unless you do. Even the most profound realizations mean little if they fail to spark action. As you step out from behind the curtain of comfort, prepare for the inherent challenges, the nervous flutter in your stomach, the creeping self-doubt, the voice that begs you to step back into familiar territory. Yet every time you push forward, despite the urge to shrink away, you strengthen that emotional muscle that propels you to keep going. Give yourself permission to try, to fail, to learn, and to try again. Because true mastery arises from repeated engagement, not from waiting on the sidelines. Collect these experiences like treasured souvenirs. Each attempt, be it successful or not, enriches your perspective and underscores your resilience. This is how you cultivate the unshakable self-belief that transforms goals from mere wishes into tangible realities. So I urge you, don't let this moment pass by without taking the first bold stride. Jot down a single actionable task right now. Make a promise to yourself that today, you will shift from passive observer to active participant in your own life's unfolding drama. The script of your life is an ever-evolving masterpiece, and you, its author, hold the power to elevate every chapter. Remember, passivity flourishes when you forget that you have a choice. Action thrives when you remember that you do. Choose to remember. Choose to act. Choose to create. Because in the end, the life you live is the sum of your choices, and you have far more influence than you might imagine. This is your clarion call to awaken from the slumber of inaction. Embrace the responsibilities, face the risks, and claim the extraordinary fulfillment that arises when you realize that every second you spend waiting is a second you could be spending becoming the person you were meant to be. Seize the day, this day. The world isn't waiting, but neither should you. Write a new chapter in your story right now, and let it be one of decisive, bold, and liberating action.